see what's in here. No, another box. Oh, well, this is the first case I've opened with the new style packaging with the angle on the side, and not only is it nifty fancy looking, there's also a purpose to it. The two packages fit together tighter, and you get a smaller case by about an inch. Well, look at that. Okay, people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Today, let's take a, well, probably not a quick look at the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Wave 27. Well, at least most of Wave 27. I already did a review of the Hoth Rebel Trooper back when the 40th anniversary. I'm looking up because I have some of them hanging up here. Back on that 40th anniversary retro card. And then I was able to get my hands on and did a review of the Hasbro PulseCon exclusive Cad Bane with Todo 360. It's re-released here in this wave without Todo, which it kind of sucks, but at least you're not missing out on the big main character. And during the last weekly, I joked about Wave 27 being the, hey, we're sorry if you missed out on the exclusives. Here's Cad Bane, and here's the armor in case you missed her, and then the Heroes of Endor set with Endor Han, Leia, and Luke. So it's kind of a weird wave because if you have kept up with all the releases, old figures and exclusives, you're essentially just looking for a new trooper and another trooper with a head. That's the only new characters here. Although granted, if you hate soft goods, the exclusive armor has a furry cape. This one has a plastic one. And I did get the Heroes of Endor set because Poplu. But I also wanted doubles of these because you can take off their jackets and have alternate looks. Or if you have extra speeder bikes, there's different display options. And I'm seeing some people don't care for the new packages because of the angle or because of the colors or because they're different than everything that's come before this. But I dig them. They're just colorful. They stand out. I love that they're color coding each movie or media. Return of the Jedi is green. Attack of the Clones is red. Mandalorian is an orange color. And then I love the side pictures even more because if you snip them off or keep the packages, you can line up, see how her arm comes down over into this package. I just happened to open up the Walgreens Clone Trooper Lieutenant for comparisons in this video, and even that fits together with the Phase 1 Clone Trooper from this wave. Oh man, the green is awesome for Return of the Jedi. Let's see, it goes this way, and like that, I think? Oh no, does Leia come first? Yeah. Okay, there it is. Luke's arm travels over into both of these packages. And then on the back, you get that artwork again, along with bios for each character, saying where they came from, what they did in the movies, you know, just quick little descriptions. On the other side, window. On the top, window. On the bottom, lots of UPCs, warnings, I'm losing them. But let's see. Let's go through the Heroes of Endor first, just because, and I have a sneaking suspicion that Luke needs to go first. And as we've learned, always go through the bottom on these new packages. I think I do plan on slicing these ends off and seeing what I can do. Or hopefully Hasbro will come out with some kind of mural or poster or something that we can pick up and just have the full pictures. Because I can only guess that as we get more characters, it's going to keep growing, right? Oh, and I like the look of this. After a little work, the poncho can be a little bit fiddly. You have to make sure to keep it bunched here in the back, which it does okay when it's going to stand on the shelf, but as soon as you go with some arm movement, it starts to unravel on you. The belt is holding it on, but it's looped through a hole in the poncho right there. So if you raise up both arms, you get kind of a flying squirrel look to it. You can flare out on the back. I've tried to open up the belt because it just unlatches and then go around it, but that belt is made specifically for this amount of material to go around this size of waist. Oh, for once, I wish there was a couple of holes. That way, if you wanted that option of keeping it bunched under and then belt around it, you can do that too, because even that way and that hanging down, I'm okay with this. It's not terrible. It's just, you know, that level of, oh, I've got to work at this for a second. So I may go hunting a belt at some point or extending this somehow. But like I said, it just comes off and then you can just slip the poncho off if you're not wanting that look. And the colors here aren't bad. I feel like they may be a little bit dark or need just a slight more of this tannish white color throughout. I don't know. It seems heavy on the darker brown colors, but still not bad at all. And then the helmet, I actually haven't pulled this off yet, but having it on, it looks like a dude in a biker helmet. You know, it's usually a little high, gets some protection for your skull. But what happens here is you pull that off and that unpegs. The chin strap does. Get it off and... oh, hey. He's got a little bit of helmet hair, but it's not as bad as I thought it'd be. It's a bit similar in size to the recent Dagobah Luke we got in the Yoda 2-pack, but it definitely isn't the Return of the Jedi Luke we got as a Walmart exclusive before that. Was this last year sometime? And we all know by now that Mark Hamill has one of those faces that is nearly impossible to capture in plastic form. But like that Dagobah Luke, it's not bad. I mean, he looks kind of sweaty. The photo reel is good, but it's got a gloss to it, and then the way the hair lays, it's just, you've been running through the Endor forest. But for the body, for some reason, they went way back into the Black Series and gave us that old original Jedi Luke body. From head to toe, arms and everything, and it's not a terrible body. My problem with that old figure was always the head. It's almost vintage inspired. In fact, does the tunic open on here? It's a separate piece still, but it looks like they've glued it down. So of course on my old one, I have the same tunic without the flap hanging down. That was originally removable. You could swap in a piece that where this corner is hanging down, and I guess I'll have to go hunting for that. But even those early bodies had decent articulation. There's a hinge at the top of the neck with a ball going up into the head. Up, bury the chin. Little tilt, but mostly swivel. Hinge at the shoulder goes up past 90. I act surprised because it's been a while since I've picked this body up. Swivels all the way around. Hinge and swivel at the elbow. No, is that wrong? Am I backwards? Oh, there we go. Okay, 90. And then that rotates. Hinge and swivel at the wrist, and it has up and down hinge for a trigger finger lightsaber holding hand, so that completely works. Ball joint lower torso, it gets okay. Little hula hooping, but you're not going to crunch all the way over. Ball coming out to the hip goes up to 90. Back, out. Well, okay, they can't all be winners. Swivel at the thigh. They do expect you to keep the poncho on because there's different sheens between the plastics there. Double knee. It's stuck. What the hell? It's a gummy knee joint. Left side. Bing! Kicking his Jedi ass. And you're going to go or I'm going to break you. Ah, there we go. It was just stuck. Hinge at the ankle goes back, goes forward. Forward facing pin for some rocker. For accessories, we already talked about the helmet. It fits on nicely. I like the silver paint apps. In fact, it's got more paint than I figured it would. We talked about the poncho. It does have a hood on the back, but it's sewn down. That way it won't be all popping over, all fish bowling over the head. I'm okay with that. And then it comes with Luke's Jedi saber. This is the same hilt we got with that more recent Jedi Luke at Walmart. In fact, looking at these now, did I mix these up? The blade is still a dullish green. You can pull that out if you want to just have the hilt. Luke stands about 5 3/4 inches tall, which is pretty damn close to, I think Mark Hamill is 5'9". And then here he is with the SH Figuarts Jedi Luke with a casting cave head. And then again, that Walmart exclusive Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Jedi Luke. It's not a bad body. Silhouette's nice, but it's the hips that just kind of pow. Putting all his gear back on, I was able to get the belt all the way around the front of the poncho. This feels like it still needs to bunch a little bit or something like this. It almost feels less manageable, but at the same time, it cuts a better silhouette. Anyway, next let's take a look at Han, old buddy. Y'all always like, do this, don't you? Some of the comments when I do that is like, hey, respect the packaging. Yeah. Can he do it? I did it. It goes back in. And again, I like the overall look here. I like the presentation, but also again, the jacket is a bit cumbersome. I guess because it's not a poncho, it's not just a tablecloth thrown over your head. This is supposed to have some seam work, some lines, some cuts to it, and the way it lays is a little heavy. The collar sticks up a bit. It almost looks like it's swallowing them. But at the same time, it's not a bad effort when it comes to mass market toys. I feel like it's saturated towards the dark brown spectrum a bit. Looking at pictures, it should have some more of this tan, lighter color through here. Or maybe Hasbro knows something we don't know and it's a whole situation like Han's Hoth jacket being blue or brown. But I do think this should be a little lighter. Let's see how easy this comes off. Not too tough. And oh, that looks good. Do have a little inside bend for the right knee. May have to get straightened out. But from the torso joint down, it is reused from Bespin Han. Same pants, same belt, same legs, same boots. Different arms, different chest under here. You can see that the collar is different. It's poking out towards us instead of laying down flat. And then at first I almost thought that they used this jacket vest part over here, but it has different wrinkles to it. It's the same pocket layout and everything, but there's more detail to the new one. And then you can really tell from the back, the new one has all these, whatever this is up here, and then Bespin Han has another pocket. Is that what that is? I don't know my fancy codes. I don't know if the faces are the same sculpt. It looks a bit like the same nose, but it's definitely different hair, and the photo reel is completely different. New Han has a little bit of pale and some red going on. And are those wrinkle lines actually printed on? They almost look drawn. I don't feel like the likeness is as strong here, but it definitely has a Harrison Ford vibe. The hair is more detailed than the Bespin Han, and I love when they do a wash. Again, the shine kind of throws me off. For articulation, this is the new style neck joint with the dumbbell up at the top and a slight ball down at the bottom, but because of the collar and how far it's embedded, you don't get a lot of movement down low. Some up, some down. Oh, there's my tilt. Swivel. I was looking for a butterfly joint. There's not one in there, but there is a hinge at the shoulder coming up. Rotates around. Hinge and swivel at the elbow. Comes up past 90. I like that they're doing that deeper cut now. It's not double elbow range, but that's not terrible. And then that swivels. Pistol shooting hand. He's got an up and down hinge, which is good, but the cuff is sculpted to go over it a bit, so it gets in the way. Swivel. Mid-torso ball joint. Not terrible. It's got plenty of arc back, not as much crunch. I'd like a little bit more forward. And then that gives you some rotation. Ball coming out to the hip comes up, but that holster does get in the way, comes up to there. Without the holster, it'd be all the way up. Back, out. Swivel at the thigh, very tight. Double knee. Again, it's stuck. Left one, not stuck. It's not gonna reach smuggler ass kicking. Little pop, little go. There it is. Hinge at the ankle goes, well, back not as far as I thought it'd go. Boom. Way far forward, though. And then forward facing pin for rocker. For accessories, like we talked about, here is the jacket. And then we've got his trusty blaster, just all detailed, especially for something this small. It is the same sculpt as the Bespin Han. It just has the silver tip painted. And I haven't done the research. I don't remember the differences between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi Han blasters, but this definitely works for me. Fits beautifully in his hand. I mean, that trigger finger is, yeah, that's not going anywhere. Or if you're wanting it in the holster, that pegs out and then just slides in. I said, get in there. That is quite the peg on that strap, though. Han stands at 5 7/8 inches tall, which is actually short for Harrison Ford's 6'1". And that also works out to be shorter than the original Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Han Solo. No! Which we need eventually as an archive or a photo reel update, something. And then the SH Figure Arts A New Hope Han with a, again, casting cave head. I showed this on a Playday recently, but here is a custom jacket from GPS Lot on eBay. This may be a little lighter than what it's shown in the movie, but I like how it throws some green in there in the mix. This one's a little tight. This one seems a little baggy and loose. So it's a trade-off either or. Next up, I've got to go with Princess Leia, right? I like how the green of her poncho fits the Return of the Jedi green for the rest of the package. Yeah. Hasbro, why the hell are you putting the hands through the blister now? What? Stop it. Third of the Endor heroes, and again, same situation. I like the presentation here. I like how it looks once you mess with it a bit, but the poncho can... it can be troublesome. If you raise the arms, it's going to flare out. Just like Luke, the belt is threaded through holes in the poncho and then comes around to the back. Unlike Luke, though, the clasp is not noticeable right here. And at first I thought, how the hell do you get this thing off? But Hasbro did a good job of engineering the belt so that the peg is hidden behind this pouch on the front. Very tricky, but I'm not going to complain because that's a good spot to put it. With Luke, you're under the poncho fighting it, and this thing keeps flipping down, getting in your way. Here, you can thread it through and just punch the front on. But we're going to look at it without the poncho. Well, it looks like it wasn't meant to be displayed without the poncho because it actually has a belt groove around the top. Or, dumbass Robo, why don't you put the belt on and then that'll hide that. Look, there you go. I may take the long way around, but I eventually get there. And I love how pastel the colors are here. The blue isn't just, but especially this greenish color up here. The very light brown undershirt, the little detail paint on the insignia or the rank, how the yellow stripe traveling down the pants. The boots even have the soles painted on. Oh, and there's black on the watch or communicator or whatever this is. Silver on the buckle. It's a lot more than I thought there would be under here. The helmet matches Luke's really well, and it's big. Again, like that. Does this pop on the same side? Yes, it does. Take that off and, oh, that looks great. This may just be one of my favorite Leia portraits that we've gotten so far. The braids coming back to two little buns on the back. You know what? In fact, now that I think about it, I don't know if I've ever noticed that in the movie. And I'm sure there's a shot or two where it's just blatantly being shown, but now that I see it in plastic, I'm like, oh, look at the braids right there. I don't know why they've been veering towards the shiny side when it comes to the photo reel, but steer it back a little bit. The detail to the eyes, the eyebrows, the lips, I really like this. And I really like the silhouette this figure cuts. It's Leia. But articulation, again, there's a dumbbell at the top of the neck with a ball joint down at the bottom. I see that dent right there, and it looks like the neck is turned inside there. Yeah, I think it was crooked. I think you're supposed to see that on both sides. Looks up, looks way down. Oh, tilt for days. Swivel, the neck down at the bottom, because of those little cuts, you do get some side to side out of that, but it's mostly forward. They've almost got it to where the hinge is hidden up under there because it still goes up to 90, but you can't see it because of the way the torso comes out over it. I like that. That rotates all the way around. Hinge and swivel at the elbow, again, comes a little past 90, and then that swivels. A pistol shooting hand up and down hinge, that's perfect with some swivel. The ball is now hidden below the belt, and there's some nice hula hoop, but again, it's more arc back than forward. Hinge coming out to the hip, goes all the way to 90. Back, out. Whoa, 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 whoa. What is this? That's better than all my Spider-Mans. Swivel at the thigh. At the knee, it's the new style hinge and swivel, which gets you past 90, but it's definitely not going to kick her royal butt. I'm okay with this because as much as I tout, the whole ass-kicking thing, I rarely pose them like that, so this is more than adequate. Then that swivels. Hinge at the ankle goes all the way back. Forward, this is not great. Forward-facing pin for rocker. Look at that. That's insane. For accessories, again, the poncho, it works well. It works like it's supposed to, but I think the colors are a bit saturated. This time to the green. It should have more of this tan, I think. The helmet, very nice paint apps. I love the silvers. I love the dings. It's been through some stuff. But then we also get the blaster, which looks like a pretty standard, almost Earth type gun with an extended barrel. Anyway, this is what her gun looked like. It has the silver on the tip, some nice detail. It just works. It also goes beautifully in her hand. Nice tight grip. Trigger finger goes in the trigger guard. But if you don't want her holding it, goes nicely into the holster. The barrel does poke through the bottom and kind of locks it in. So that's not just going to fall out. And if you want it back out, just push from the bottom. There's your gun. Leia stands at 5 1/16 inches tall, pretty close to Carrie Fisher's 5'1", which keeps in scale with the Hasbro Black Series Hoth Leia, but that is a little bit shorter than the Bandai SH Figuarts A New Hope Princess Leia. And that also works really well with this wave's Endor Han and Luke. Next up, I've already done a review on 95% of this figure, but let's see what's going on with the Phase 1 clone. I don't know why the red looks boring to me now. Maybe it's because of years and years of red and black packaging. This just doesn't stand out to me as much. But hey, that's cool. Nothing wrong with that. This Phase 1 clone reuses the brand new body that just came with the Camino Phase 2 clone. I love the cut of this figure, especially compared to that original clone body we've been getting with the Black Series forever. This is the brand new Walgreens exclusive, but it reuses that old body to fit in with the red and the green and the yellow clone that we've gotten before. Looking at them side by side, the new one just feels so much more natural. It actually feels like a guy in armor. It's more relaxed. The old clone always had the arms kind of jammed out and the legs spread apart, and the ankles always felt like it was going to fall forward. Of course, they're going to stand right off the bat. But even the color of the armor, there's almost a gray tint, just like in the movie of the white here. This one has a tinge of yellow. It's a definite difference, but again, this feels natural. Even the head sculpt is new because under this new one, there's an actual head. And I still haven't heated it up and removed any of the helmets here, but from what I've heard, that is a Tamura Morrison sculpt under there. So the helmet's bigger, and you can see the ridge on top also goes up higher. I didn't catch it on the Phase 2 Camino clone that it was animated style. And here, I can't hardly tell. To me, it's a Phase 1 clone helmet. Cool. For the shoulder pads, they are a rubbery material glued at the bottom, so you can take that, you can bunch it up between the arm, or you can take it, pop it up on top. I like this, but if you leave it up too long, it's going to stick out. It'll eventually work its way down though. The knee pads and the elbow pads on this new body are separate pieces, but the pad part itself is attached to the joint. So that doesn't move, but the strap going around the joint does. It slides up and down, but that doesn't help the pinching that happens whenever you bring the arm up. You'd see it kind of cuts into it. Dumbbell joint up at the top. Is there something down at the bottom? There may be a ball joint. Yeah, there's a ball joint down at the bottom. Not great up, but there is some down. There's even some tilt for an armored character. Swivel, butterfly joint inside the armor, goes forward, goes back. Again, with the shoulder, get the pad up on top, comes up to 90, rotates all the way around. Single elbow comes up past 90, that swivels. Trigger finger hand is hinged up and down. Excellent range there too. Swivel, ball at the torso, hula hooping. goes back, goes forward, and that swivels. Ball coming out to the hip, and you'll notice the tightness there. If you come straight up, you can get to about right there, which is original clone body range. But if you twist the leg, come up to here, you get almost 90, and then you have the swivel down here where you can put the leg down. It looks oddball, but it gets you that range of motion. Back, out, it's not terrible for armor sticking up there. Again, hinge and swivel at the knee comes up past 90. That also rotates. Hinge at the ankle goes back, forward facing pin for rocker. For accessories, we have the standard clone blaster. Lots of nice little details. There's no paint apps to bring any of that detail out though, but at the same time, this is a clean clone body. I'm okay with some clean weapons too. And it's not nearly as bendy as the older weapons. This is a harder material than what we're used to. All of that can also be said for the clone rifle. Nice sharp details, there's a shininess to it. It just looks good. And because of the added articulation, has no problem holding the rifle either. Does seem to be missing a tiny bit of paint right there where the visor meets the mouth. It's a bit crooked. The Phase 1 clone stands at 6 1/8 up to the top of the ridge on top of the helmet, which is just slightly taller than the crooked ass standing. Taller than the old Black Series Clone Trooper body, which is quite a bit taller than the SH Figuarts Phase 1 clone, but right on par with the Bandai Model Kit clone. Oh, and this is a tough decision. I love the Incinerator Trooper, but I've already looked at most of this body, well, that whole body, in a previous review. And now that I think about it, the Armorer is actually the only unique character that we haven't gotten before. So, let's go ahead and look at this guy. Like I said during the weekly, the Incinerator Trooper just has so much swagger when he walks onto the field in that last episode of The Mandalorian. So much attitude. When that flamethrower is on his shoulder, you think, oh man, okay, he's a badass. Is that permanently attached? Oh, it is. Of course, what am I going to do? Have this Stormtrooper without the flamethrower at some point? I love the original Stormtroopers, and now that we're getting versions like this with different paint markings and different weaponry, oh, hog heaven. That's where I am. It almost looks like a Hellraiser type paint scheme with the flesh peeled away from the mouth and all you see is muscle underneath. Yes, I know it's armor. You get the idea. And then just the chipping here and there to the paint details. Oh man, this guy don't care. He's got his markings to designate that he is an Incinerator Trooper. Other than that, he just wants to burn shit. Now, like I mentioned, the flamethrower is attached to the tanks on the backpack by this cable. It almost seems like a separate piece, but it's glued up in there. But there are these tabs. So let's try popping this off, and that goes to there. Oh, but the head doesn't just pop off. Those new dumbbells are tough to do without heat. And I thought maybe that popped off back there, but that doesn't seem to want to just come out. So it looks like we're gonna go through this with all the gear on, which is okay. And it goes to show you how tough this stuff is by how much I just pulled on everything. I put it all back together and it still looks good with the pauldron coming out over the shoulder. That is attached to the rigging all the way around, comes back to these tanks on the back. And there's even a red Imperial logo right there. Now this is based on the brand new Stormtrooper body we got last wave, I think. And like the clone, it is such an improvement over that original Black Series Stormtrooper body. I mean, there's double elbows on that original body, but you still couldn't get much past there, which the new body can match with less parts. But you also have the new single knee, comes up to there. On the old one, it's a double knee, comes up most of the way. But this is my Incinerator Trooper. I'm not gonna have him down on his knees or anything. All he's gonna be like is, who needs burning? This just feels so much more natural than that original body. It feels like a little guy in a suit, which they've tried to emulate once again with a head up under there. Going over articulation, with the gear still on, there is a dumbbell at the top of the neck, ball down at the bottom, can look up, not a lot of down. Hell, look at that, that's amazing. Whoa, 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 whoa. Swivel, we're gonna have to do it over here. There is a very nice butterfly joint. Goes back, goes forward, and then the shoulder pad is a ring that is sandwiched between the shoulder and the butterfly joint, made of a rubbery material, so that just rides the arm up to 90. Rotates around. You got to be a little bit careful that the shoulder pad moves with it, but it does not get in the way at all if you keep them lined up. Hinge at the elbow comes up past 90, then that swivels. Trigger finger hand on the right side is up and down. Other side is side to side, and then both rotate. Ball joint at the torso. I have the backpack fighting me against this back here, but yeah, not bad at all. That rotates. Ball at the hip comes out. These hanging down are rubbery, get out of the way. Again, like the clone, if you rotate just a bit, You can get up to not quite 90. Far back though. Out. Rotation at the thigh, nicely hidden by the armor. Single knee comes up a little past 90. Rotates. Hinge at the ankle goes back to there. Forward facing pin for rocker. For accessories, I've already gushed over this thing, but here's the flamethrower. I love this sculpted detail right here and some vents. I wish there was a little... That cable is soft. It's not going to get in the way. It's not going to hinder any movement. But then, what would an incinerator trooper be without some kind of flame effect? He'd be a regular stormtrooper. This flame effect is quite substantial, and it's made of an orange translucent material that kind of fades into a darker red. That just works beautifully. On the end of the flamethrower, there is the nozzle, and then these two coming off underneath. Flame effect actually has cutouts right here for those. You have to kind of line them up and warp them around, but once you find that spot, boom, pops right on. Unfortunately, the flamethrower is really thick. Kind of hard to get his hand to go anywhere. You can stretch it out and kind of get it there, but it doesn't grip. So I'll have to mess around with that. But look at the flame effect. He can hold it up. Well, he's holding it up by one hand right now, actually. The wrist doesn't go up quite enough for the amount of attitude that was in the show, but yeah, it's not bad. The incinerator trooper stands at pretty much exactly 6 inches tall to the top of the helmet. It is essentially the same as the original Hasbro Stormtrooper. And then here it is with the most recent Bandai SH Figuarts Stormtrooper and the tried and true Bandai Model Kit Stormtrooper. And then finally, let's look at the Mandalorian's armorer. I almost held off on this one because I do have the PulseCon exclusive version in the mail right now. I got shipping notice earlier today. But I figured, what the hell, it's here. Let's look at it. And to finally have her in hand after wanting her for a year and rewatching The Mandalorian recently, oh, this is the way. The familiar Mandalorian sculpt work to the chest plate, the sculpting of the sleeves with the wrap around the top, and then the padding, because hey, again, she's an armorer. She forges stuff. She's working with heat. She got to have some oven mitts on or some heavy material to protect her hands. A heavy leather blacksmith type skirt or lower tunic here. Underneath is just some regular pants. It's almost, well, okay. I just made the realization that this is an undersuit like a Mandalorian. How weird is that? Stripes running down to the side of the legs, down to boots that are a bit heavy. They're smaller because of her size, but look how heavy the tips are. Again, she's working with metal maybe, and she's always in fear of dropping. These are steel-toed, work-approved boots with some nice texture to them. Details on the belt coming across. There's some gold and some silver. What do we have back here? This fur piece that is sculpted in plastic is just pegged on with one pin. But under that, the painted detail does travel on around. It stops right here, but again, this is mostly hidden. Now that I'm looking at it in this light, this is almost a purplish color. But I love the sheen of it coming all the way around. It stands out against the matte colors of the rest of the body. And the same could be said for the helmet. That gold color, again, stands out. Well, I guess it matches there, but it stands out against everything else. The shape of it is damn close to what we see in the show. That has nice little details like on the side and on the back. This is a mass market line, so these aren't going to be sharp spikes. They're dulled down, but they get the point across. The point across. That was unintentional. Leave me alone. And then a slight gloss to the black visor. I'm just now realizing after a couple of minutes, because I'm slow like that this is a rubbery overlay. It's glued down in the middle, but that's to get out of the way of the arm coming up. And then the lower part here, the tunic or skirt or apron or whatever, it's split on each side and doesn't get in the way of legs. Going over articulation, it's that new school dumbbell joint at the top of the neck, ball joint down at the bottom, and you can already see that thing tilting out to the side. With that, look how far up she can look. Can go all the way down. So much tilt! Everything together just gives you so much movement. So much movement that I've turned the neck sideways. I think... where's the front? There's a butterfly joint at the shoulder, some back, some forward. But like I said, soft material, hinges up, swivels around. You gotta kind of get it out there. Yeah. Hinges swivel at the elbow, comes up past 90. Swivels. I think they're giving everybody up and down hinges on the right hand because she doesn't have a trigger finger, but she does hold tools. And then the left side to side. The ball joint for the torso is actually at the waist, so I don't know why I didn't just call it a waist ball. But that gives you this. Ball at the hip comes forward, goes back, hinges out, doesn't beat Leia, but that is probably the second best. Swivel at the thigh. Single knee, very tight detents there. Gets up to not quite 90. Then the knee swivels. Hinge at the ankle goes back all the way. Forward, not so much. I think they're trying to hide the articulation so much that it gets in the way there. And then forward-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, like I mentioned, it has this fur cape thing. It's not the softest material, but all it needs to do is peg into the back right there. And even though it's just that single peg, it doesn't just fall off. And then for accessories, she comes with her hammer and a pair of tongs to hold the metal in the heat or pick it out of the heat. It's a soft material, so you can have her holding it open or close, but it doesn't actually work. And then the hammer's a little thicker. It bows, but it goes back to position. The armor stands at 5 5/8 to the top of her helmet, which looks great next to the new Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Beskar armor Mandalorian. In fact, I have this little Beskar ingot that somebody sent me. That's awesome. Does this pinch in here? Oh, look at that. But then here she is next to the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Heavy Mandalorian and the Bandai SH Figuarts Beskar Armor Mandalorian. So at the end of the day, another fantastic wave of Hasbro Star Wars Black Series figures. Yes, most of these are characters we've already gotten, but with as many different looks as some of the main characters have, I'm okay with that. As uncomfortable as I am about messing with the soft goods on the Endor crew here, I will admit that I like how the colors pop, even though I feel like the colors are off. I don't know, there's just something to these guys. Especially Luke and Leia. After messing with the ponchos, they are pretty good. Han's jacket, I feel, is still a bit bulky. The Phase 1 clone is an army builder. I always need more of those. And since they upgraded the body, hey, I'll take even more. But because of the current focus on The Mandalorian and how much I love that show, it's all about the Incinerator Trooper and Armorer. She's a good addition to go with those Mandalorians, the Heavy Mandalorian, Mando, but the Incinerator Trooper, like I said, there is just something about that character. And I say character in the show. He was in there 1.5 minutes. There is just an attitude that I love. He knows what his job is, and he knows he's good at it. There's just that confidence, that swagger when he comes in. I don't know. I could talk about that all day. But along with the Hoth Rebel Trooper and Cad Bane, this is a good case. There's no doubles. You could just order the case, be done. Now, if you got the exclusives, you may want to skip out on this. But like I said way back at the first, I wanted different versions of the same characters. So Luke without his poncho, Leia without her poncho. Han, I can find something to do with. I like having options there. I also have the other Armorer coming, and then the SH Figuarts coming after that. It's a sickness. So if you enjoyed the review, comment, like, subscribe. Much love to the plus. If you're interested in seeing videos early or just in a position to help out the channel, patreon.com. But wherever you may be watching this, I'll always catch you on the Fwoosh. And this makes me so happy that this fits in here. I know it's a custom, not everybody can get it, but they should have these at some point, right? I think one comes with the SH Figuarts one, but yeah, somebody should put up Beskar ingots for sale. Fwoosh!